See if we can get this to work. The lighting is terrible today. I have no idea what's going on here. Maybe I'll sit back further. That's not working. You guys, hello. I am out of it today. Welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zalakis. I'm going to mess with the lighting here for a moment, and we're going to have a good time. I know we're going to have a good time today. I have a great show for you, and I have a lot to talk about. It's been a heck of a week. I don't know what to tell you. So let me get this lighting fixed here, and we'll get to the show here. We're going to see what we got. I tried to move the camera around a little bit today, and man, it's not working. This dang thing. You know, I tape the show on my phone every week for you guys. Look at, I'm on an angle and stuff. This isn't going to work. We're going to have to try something else. Let's see what we can do. All right, so let's see if that's any better. Is the lighting too much? That might be all right. Scoot up a little bit. I don't know. Is that all right? It seems bright. Anyway, let's see. And now the phone is tilting again. Man, I got this little rig here that I use, and we're going to see. All right, let's take a look. Still working on it. This is a great way to start the show, you guys. Is just fooling around with the lighting. I barely made it here, even though I live at home, and I live at home. Even though I shoot in my house, I barely made it here on time today. I was fooling around and just doing my thing online. So welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zalakis. Hello. Hi there to Liz watching in London. We have our guest today is from Britain. And she's going to tell us about, I don't know, horror movies and whatever else I ask. I don't want to give that away, but she's going to tell us some stuff. Or at least I'm going to ask some questions that are going to be funny. So we're going to see how that goes. Anyway, let's talk about it. Hi, everybody. You know I'm your host, Jason Zalakis, and the first part of the show is always about me, right? It's my favorite part of the show. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I have had a heck of a week. It's been amazing. Everything from I've had 2 auditions this week to it was my birthday. It was my birthday on the 1st, whenever that was, Monday. We had Halloween. But I'm telling you, like I have had so much stuff going on that it's crazy. I'm actually getting overwhelmed, and which is pretty good. And I guess that's how it works. That's how it works, I guess, for us actors. Is it's either I'm sitting around here going, oh, nobody wants to hire me. And now I'm like, man, I have so many things I can't even keep track. I have an audition for a couple of roles. I've been asked to play dad, of course, a lot. I get asked to play dad. It's a role that I get asked to do. I get cast as dad. So I've been asked to do dad, and that's pretty good, and that's pretty fun. But tomorrow I'm shooting a commercial again, and I'm going to release a commercial. I got a new commercial coming out, you guys. I'm gonna let you see a new commercial I did. It's pretty good. It's the one they did for Arthrol, which was shown. I guess it's shown in Eastern Europe. I'm not really sure where they show my commercials at. I never see them, but I'm going to debut it tomorrow for you guys. I also have just dropped a new movie poster that just came out. It's for a movie that's been out on the festival circuit, but the poster is new. Every time we win awards, the poster gets updated. So that's cool. And this time I'm on the poster twice. I'm like, I can't even believe it. Like the best birthday gift ever. And I want to also say this week I had my 19th wedding anniversary. So, I've been married 19 years to the same woman and to my wife. So, I'm dedicating this episode to her. To my wife. And I want to show you something else. This week, it's Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zalakis. So the mug I'm drinking out of is my wife's mug in honor of her. And it says, "Go ask dad." So what a rude ass mug that is. Don't ask me. I have 2 children, as you guys know, and they're pretty dang independent these days. In fact, they're both in a play tonight. My son is making his stage debut tonight. We're not going to be there for his debut, which I guess that's silly. Now we're seeing it tomorrow night, and I don't know why we decided to not go tonight. Maybe we should go both nights. I don't know. But it just dawned on me that I'm not going to be there to see his debut. He's there. They're doing this play at their school, which is actually pretty cool. It's about the Big Bad Wolf, and it's about whether or not the Big Bad Wolf he's on trial, but is he guilty? And so they have, kind of like OJ, right? Except we all know OJ did it. We all know the Big Bad Wolf did it. But in this take on it in this play, they allow the audience to vote That's what the kids tell me. I haven't seen it yet, but they allow the audience to vote on whether or not they think it's guilty, whether or not they think it's not guilty, or whether or not they think it's a hung jury. So, allowing the people to vote is probably the best way to do it, I suppose. That's what it's supposed to be. That's the way it goes. So we'll find out if the crowd decides if the big bad wolf is guilty or if the gloves don't fit. We're gonna find that out. Recently, I was thinking about something else. I was I was online, and because I spend a lot of time online. Obviously, that's what I do. You guys, that's how I social network. That's how I get casted movies. I don't know, but oh yeah, and also this week I thought I had COVID. I forgot to tell you that. I thought I had COVID, man. I kind of having trouble breathing, like for real. So I went and got tested, and I didn't have COVID. And then the next day, it's weird how you get tested, and when they find out you don't have COVID, then you're like the very next day I was like, oh, I'm healed. But I thought before that, I swear I thought I had it. I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe, and all these things, and it just turned out I just can't breathe. It just turned out I'm old. So there was that. So, anyway, what I was thinking was I saw this post online, and my point here, and before I bring my guest on, and my guest today, I'm very excited, you guys, she is Fluff Llewelyn, and she is the Bloody Brit. She is a horror actor, and poet, and all kinds of stuff, and we're going to find out all about that. But before I bring her on, I want to tell you one more thing. So anyway, I saw this post online, and it was somebody about Halloween decorations. And they were saying, oh my God, I get to take down the Halloween decorations and I get to put up Christmas or whatever. And you know what? That's all fine. But I thought, what do you mean Halloween decorations? Or don't you mean home decor? Like for me, that stuff is up all year. Like I just put Santa hats literally on the Creature from the Black Lagoon and on Dracula and that kind of stuff. This stuff is up for me all year. And so when people are like Halloween decorations, I'm like, I don't understand what you mean. You mean like the extra stuff you brought out? You mean like that? Like the extra things, right? That must be what they meant. Because otherwise no one takes down Halloween decorations. It's home decor season, right? Anyway, let's see if we can get our guest in today and get to talking some stuff. We're gonna talk some stuff. I've got a lot planned. We're gonna see how it goes. And one more thing before I bring you guys on, the outpouring of love for my birthday was unreal, you guys. I couldn't even handle it. I was like stunned. And I said to my wife, I can't believe how many people have wished me happy birthday. And she said, well, you don't have to respond individually. And I was like, yes, I do. I do. So to me, I did. If you wished me happy birthday, I individually read your post and I individually responded to you. So that was my dedication. It took me 4 days to do that. You guys are amazing. I can't do this without you. God bless you. Thank you for your support, for your love, for watching my movies, for liking my posts, for watching the show. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to producer Warren Madden for making this show happen. Let's see if we can get our guest on today and get this show going. We don't have her there. We're going to see if we can get her here. We're going to try to do this. I've heard this invite somebody to be on. Once I send that invite, though, it's out of my hands. So we're going to see if she can get that invite. I haven't seen her pop on here yet. Doesn't mean she's not here. I really don't know. It tells me you guys are watching, tells me you're not watching. I kind of don't know these things. So one of the commercials I got hit up, I get asked to do a lot of projects while we wait for our guest. And Warren, maybe you can follow up with her. You are the producer, Warren Madden, who lives in Florida. And I am broadcasting live from Los Angeles today. It is a gloomy Los Angeles day. And for that, I think it means 60. But there's overcast. I'm watching some of my scripts fall off a chair over there. That's pretty weird. Whoa! But and I lost my train of thought on that one. Oh, what I wanted to tell you was this week. One of the things I got asked to do, and I get asked to do a lot of things, and I don't take a lot of stuff. Each role is dependent on whether or not I want to do that or stuff. Like anybody, right? As an independent contractor, you don't take any job you want to do. So one of the ones they asked me to do this week was they asked me if I could do a commercial for ED, for erectile dysfunction, and and I said no to that one. So one of my questions is to the people watching the show, to my actor friends, to anybody who wants to, is there a commercial you won't do? Is there a product? Is there a product that crosses the line? Is a sexual product crossing the line? I mean, we don't have to get specific, obviously, but I mean, is there a product you won't advertise? Like, I did an advertisement for guns, and it was pretty fun. And but maybe is that a commercial that you won't do? Like is there a project you won't take? I always love that question. So if you're out there and you're watching this, let me know. Is that something you do or don't do? Again, while we wait for our guests to come on, I'll keep going. I got all kinds of stuff, but I'll do toy of the week, and we'll talk about coffee mugs some more. We could talk about scripts. What do you guys want to talk about? Let's let while we wait for my guest. I don't normally sell for time. The deal is, I decided to let my hair grow. I decided that I'm not going to cut it, and you can see here. I see it's feathering a little bit, and I'm wondering if that's probably not great. And you can see here in the back. Look at this part. Look at that. So I'm thinking I'm actually going to just let it grow. And I'm thinking too that I might let my beard go too. And I know most of you guys say don't do that. You guys mostly like it when my beard is trimmer, when my beard is tighter. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Let me know. You want to see me grow my hair? You want to see me not? Ultimately, I'll do what I want. But let me hear what you want. Let me hear what you're going to say about it. Our guest is ready to be in the video, you guys. We're going to kick it off. Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zalakis. Thank you for being here. Let's see what we got. Approve her to be in. And it says adding. So let's get it started in here. Connecting.
Hi.
Hello there. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. I have headphones on already. I just don't have them on right now, but I can pop those in if it makes things any easier.
No, you don't have to do that. I can hear you just fine. If you can hear me just fine.
Yeah, that's great. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing great. Right away, let me ask you before you, and of course, my headphones caught, and now my whole frame is missed, and look at this amateur hour. But let me ask you something about what I see back there. Are you in the Netherlands currently?
I am not. I am actually house sitting in Des Plaines, which is like 40 minutes outside of Chicago, for a friend who's on her travels right now. She's traveled the world, which is why we have this nice plate wall here. So.
Okay, so those plates have come from all over the world.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, speaking of all over the world, your name is Claire Llewelyn, but you go by Fluff. How does that work out?
Well, long story short, Fluff is my nickname, obviously, and it came from my band days. When I was in the UK, I moved over here when I was 30, 17 years ago. I was into music and singing and writing songs, well, lyrics mainly, and I was in some rock bands, and one band that I was trying to get together was a kind of camp theatrical sleaze rock band, so we all decided on we'd have a bit of fun with our stage names, kind of sleazy stage names. So my stage name was Fluff Box. So everybody just knew me as Fluff. Later on, I dropped the box for the obvious connotations when I was not in the band, and no, I've never been in blue movies. But I kept
blue movies.
Yeah, that's the polite way of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So yes. So okay. So right. So you haven't. It was part of the band, like any other band sort of persona. How much in a band? How much in the band is the lead singer or the people in the band? How much are they actors? And I don't mean that I mean they play the music. I mean they play the instruments. I'm not doubting that. But how much are they actors? Like is Axl Rose, obviously his look is very distinct. Elvis has a very distinct look, and these lead singers, Jim Morrison has a very distinct look. How much of them is playing a character?
I think a lot of it. When you go on stage and you have your stage persona, whether you have a different stage name or not, you put everything else in your mind behind the troubles of the day, etc., etc. You're there to entertain, so you go off into a different world. So you are technically acting like you're someone else. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. Maybe some people don't do that. Maybe some people are in the moment all the time. But no, for me, it was definitely getting out of who I was and becoming someone else, and that someone else being a lot more confident than me personally. I'm a very shy person, quite quiet, reserved, the British way. But It's when I got on stage, I was more flamboyant. When I built up my confidence, because I still get stage fright to this day, and I'm nervous now, even talking to you. So.
Well, thank you for your honesty. And I think I heard if you're not nervous going into it, you're probably not doing a quality job, or you're probably not putting yourself out there. I think I heard it. I think I heard it put much more eloquently even than that. But would you agree that the nervousness going into it means you care about the project?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to
So
make sure you're doing a good job. So.
right. So Fluff was a character you were portraying essentially that
Yeah.
became a nickname.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go on tour, and I don't mean in your band, you go on tour now to different conventions, different venues, and you sign autographs for your director and your books, and we're going to get to all that. But when you go and you sign your name, do you sign it as Claire Llewelyn or do you sign it as Fluff? How do you write your name when you're autographing to somebody? Like, what are you to you?
Claire Fluff Llewelyn. And there's another good reason for keeping the fluff in my name is if you Googled Claire Llewelyn, I'm not the only one in the world, but if you Google Claire Fluff Llewelyn, it's all me. So it's a marketing thing. So.
I love it. I love it. And that's one of the things I'm most super fascinated about marketing. Let me talk to you about something about marketing. And I know you're from the UK. I just read that, and this is how this show goes, so hold tight. I just read that Popeye's Chicken has debuted their menu in the UK because they're planning to open their first one there. Are you stoked about that?
As a vegetarian, semi-vegan, no, it's not an establishment I would visit. So.
You're okay. So you're not on the chicken sandwich testing circuit. I see. So you can Popeyes in. Is there a restaurant in the UK that is better? Is there a restaurant you miss, or that when you go back there to the UK, and I know you're going back there in December, I believe I read. When you go back to the UK, is there a restaurant that you were like, oh my God, this is where I have to go?
Not anymore. Things have changed a hell of a lot. I mean, before I went full vegetarian, I would say always have to get a good fish and chip. That's something you can't get in this country, and something I miss, and I still miss it, even though I don't eat it anymore. But
that might be the most British answer you could have given. Like, I miss a good pub where they have fish and chips. So, have you ever been to a pub called the Slaughtered Lamb? Is that a place you're familiar with?
Obviously, that's fictitious because it's from Werewolf in London, American
Correct.
Werewolf in London, I should say. Damn, those jokes get everywhere. But
so how insulting is an American werewolf in London? How audacious is an American werewolf in London?
I don't give a toss, to be honest.
Did you see it?
It's a great film, but
it's a fantastic movie. It's an absolutely brilliant movie. It's got to be in my top 10, and I'm not knocking it, but honestly, there are Americans who don't listen. Is that something you encounter?
I'm sorry, say that again. Americans who don't what?
Who don't listen. They're told not to go on the moors, and the first thing those fools do is go on the moors. So is that something you run into? Is Americans who don't listen? Is that a thing?
It's a thing, but it's not just an American problem. It's a global problem, and especially with I'd say younger people, but I don't even know if it's an age thing either.
Younger people definitely don't listen.
People just don't listen. No, it's anywhere you go.
Anywhere you go, right?
Anywhere you go.
Right, like my kids, for instance. You're talking about young people who don't listen, and I'm assuming you mean children.
Yeah.
Like, you dang kids, get off that TikTok and wash a dish or something. So what are yes, right? That's right. Selective. It's true. My kids, yeah, they do that. So I heard, now you're big in horror movies and you play this character and lots of stuff. I heard Halloween is not a big thing in the UK. Is that true?
It never used to be. I mean, I've got a great photo of me and my brother many moons ago who were dressed up in, I think my brother had a green curtain over him with this plastic mask on, and he was a goblin, and my dad, who was a carpenter, made a witch's broom out of proper twigs and a large stick and whatever, and I was a witch. So we me and my brother are on this broom, and because it's dark at night, the photograph really looks like we're flying because you can't see our feet. That was great. I used to love Halloween. We did trick or treat, but not on the grand commercial scale like you get over here. But you know, England is becoming much more Americanized now, so we're almost on a par with you, I'd say, these days.
So you said your dad was a carpenter and made you a broom.
Yeah.
Were there not brooms when you were a child? Was that invented after?
I mean, there probably were.
Your house didn't have one.
Yeah, that's it. We'd have like your typical broom to sweep the house, but yeah, not like a proper witch's broom made up.
I understand.
Like
okay.
So
I thought maybe you were talking about you lived on dirt floors or something as a
No,
kid.
no.
I mean, I don't know Britain. I've never been there. I mean, I see a lot of movies where they're always like this little shack in Britain you should never go to, you know, or this little castle. So what are the major differences then? I'm sorry, say it again. I'm talking over you, please.
Modern.
You're pretty modern. I tease, but I did read that you don't have power sockets in the bathrooms. That there's because here we have outlets in our bathrooms for hair dryers and things, and you guys, or at least in the UK, I read that they think that that's sort of nutty. That's like asking for a death wish. That you shouldn't have an outlet within a certain amount of feet from the tub.
Well, yeah, they generally don't have outlets anywhere near water. That's just kind of smart, really.
So in America, we do it different. So are you, I mean, I realize we're more for the toaster in the bathtub thing, you know, and I mean, you guys don't toaster in the bathtub where you are, is what you're saying.
No.
You don't have a television over your bathtub in Britain.
No, not that posh. I mean, maybe these days they've got up to speed. I dare say you could go into some fancy house and they would. I'm not that fancy, so.
Oh, the fancy houses perhaps have a TV, you know, and I'm kidding. We don't have TVs in our bathrooms, obviously, but well, maybe some people do. I once was at this hotel.
The TV. Oh, yeah, that sounds quite nice, actually.
Right. That's all I need is Fortnite in the bathtub. I'll never get out. Which is a video game. Do you guys have those in Britain? Video games? Are they allowed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I'm teasing again. I'm just kidding.
I'm not a game nerd, but yeah, sure.
Game nerd. that was a personal shot. So, so let's talk about some nerdy stuff. You're a poetry writer. Is that correct? You have written 2 books of poetry.
Well, 3 if you count my charity book.
Well, nobody counts anything for charity. So 3 if you count charity. Okay. So I read that there was only 2, but I know you have one that's recently out. Love is a Killer. Is that right? Is that the newest one? Mm-hmm. And people can get that on Amazon. Yeah,
both of my commercial books are on Amazon. Love is a Killer was my first book that I did, released in 2019, actually. It's sold pretty well, and as it's horror themed and the second one isn't, people seem to like it, and it took me years to get the courage to publish my poetry because some of it can be quite deeply personal, and it's an outlet. And any therapist will tell you, and I've seen a few over the years, will say that write it down. It's good therapy. You don't have to do anything with it. Just if someone's pissed you off, write them a letter, then throw it away. It's just getting it off your chest and expressing your emotions about that particular event, feelings, stuff like that. So it took me a long time to actually publish any of my work because I don't know if I was that embarrassed or I just felt vulnerable that it would expose an inner side of me that I might not want people to know about. Anyway, you can put a twist on it and you can make it not so obvious. So like that book is split into 3 sections. It's about human heartbreak, and then psychopaths, and then classic monsters. And it all relates to the theme of heartbreak. But it's dark. I mean, even the human section is not mopey. It comes from a dark place, and I've had people say that they could relate to it. which is fantastic, and that helps and encourages me to continue to publish my work. And I'm glad that it might, help other people to read that and realize, they're not alone. It could be a source of comfort. I also add like humor to some of my poetry as well, and the fact that I mix fact and fiction, and it's relatable to everyone and all ages, really. But some stuff not little kids.
Now, you said the first one was horror and the second one isn't.
Yeah.
The second one is like, okay, now that I got out all that aggression, now I'm like, yo, check out this rainbow and like a unicorn over here, and hey, cereal, like, So like which book is it? Which book has sold better then? Maybe figuratively, which book seems to be the more popular one, the darker side or the lighter side?
Yeah, the darker side, and I would say the second one, Rhyme and Reason, Facets of a Life. Again, I like to break down into categories. That's broken down into 3 sections as well. I wouldn't say it was all. Some of it can be quite cynical, and some of it is quite funny. It's on all aspects of life. But I'm a bit of a pessimist, I guess, unfortunately. So there's not a lot of rainbows, puppies, and kittens in my work period.
So right, and you typically promote these books at like horror themed functions.
Yeah.
Where the darker people sort of, my people sort of live, I guess, So when you're at these conventions, let me ask you another question about your books before I move on. Are your books self-published? Is that how you did it? Like how does somebody, maybe somebody who's watching this and inspired by you, how does somebody put their work out there?
Self-publishing is the easiest way to go because you don't have any gatekeepers. Also, you don't have editors. So unless you pay for an editor, which if you could afford it, is a very good idea. Because even though I've self-edited and I edit as I go along, so things take me longer. I get proof copies and read it. It's good to have beta readers at least, because it's been spotted that I do have a couple of typos in my work, which drives me absolutely insane when I've pored over it for hours and studied it, and your brain knows what the word is supposed to be, and it messes with you because you think it's correct, and even the spell check sometimes doesn't pick it up because it might be an actual word but it's in the wrong context. And the English and American spelling differences, grammar differences, it can get me in a bit of a mess. So there are a couple of typos which I'm not happy about, but
so there's actual differences in the way you would write it for Britain versus the way you would write it for America?
Yeah, because words have different meanings here.
Oh, okay, right.
And also spelling and grammar is slightly different. But even though I'm writing for an American market, because my work sells better here than at home, I've decided to stick with my roots, and some people like it. And I've set my spell check to British English. It's like, damn it, I'm sticking to my roots. I don't have a publisher telling me, no, this has to be American lingo and what. But in poetry, it kind of helps because I mix and match, which people would not recommend to do, especially publishers would, no, hell no, you can't do that, it's confusing. But it gives me more options for rhyme. So as my poetry has to rhyme, it has to have a lyrical flow. I'm not one to just waffle like I'm doing now and spill on the page anything. To me, that's not poetry. But
you thought I could change my work for an American audience, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay British and forget those Americans who left British rule. I can't believe it. They should read my British language. That's how you felt about it. 200 years you've been waiting to write that book. So
yeah, kind of. I guess some people like it, and there are a lot of Anglophiles over here, and some people get a kick out of it, And there are American terms. I don't have an American accent. I can't even fake one. But I speak more in American ways of speaking, American terms, American language now. And I have to stop and think, what would I have said back home? What's the English equivalent to blah blah blah? And it's like, I'm stumped.
So I wasn't sure how you were going to sound. I watched a video of you before this interview, and I realized you sound British. I I was like, I wasn't sure what to expect today with that, with how you sound. So would you mind reading an excerpt from your book? We'd love to hear something. Is that something you can do?
As I'm like not at my usual digs, I don't have books with me, but I'm on my tablet with this, so my computer's next to me. Give me a moment, and I'll have to pull something up on my laptop from
Sure.
many files.
It's no worries. I'll give shout outs to the people while we wait. So thank you guys for watching the show. Of course, we're gonna hear some live poetry from Claire Fluff Llewelyn here shortly, and we're all very excited about that. It's pretty good exclusive to get on the show. Not a lot of people, I'm assuming, are getting to see that, so that's very cool to have. And so I know we have fans who watch the show from London and in the UK, so thank you to them. And of course, you guys overseas, I always appreciate when you watch the show. Of course, shout out to producer Warren Madden on this Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. Also, while we're waiting, let's check this out. This is Toy of the Week. Take a look at this. It's a real life shrunken head, yo. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So I have multiples of them, and I got them in trade from a buddy of mine who owns a little shop in Portland. And see how, look at that. They're like shrunken heads. They have eyebrows, and look at that. Oh, so crazy. So this is the only show you're ever going to hear poetry and shrunken heads on. And but these shrunken heads came from a buddy of mine. I traded him some He-Man stuff, and he and what they really are is they're sort of a rawhide thing, but they're made into, I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. Oh, that's going to be my clip for the, oh. Wait, this guy, I like this guy too, because he's like the dark haired one. Look at that guy. Oh, he looks really real. So anyway, these are very cool, and they're very rare. They're handmade. But those are from my personal collection this week. So there you go. There's Toy of the Week while we prepare. And Claire, are we ready?
Yeah, I found one that I haven't actually ever read live before, and it's not one of my poetry videos either. So this is an exclusive just for you.
Thank you.
It is from the book Love is a Killer, and this is from the serial killers section, I believe. It's called Deadly Devotion. It's about a stalker. Not that I've had one this excessive, but if I told you I'd kill for you, what would you say? Would you be horrified and walk away? Or would you give me a list of enemies to dispatch? Touched by my loyalty, a true lover's match. If I told you I'd die for you, what would you do? Would you ask me to prove my words were true? Would you give me a gun and tell me to fire into my heart or be proven a liar? These questions go round and round in my head as I secretly watch you prepare for bed. Would my love for you be returned? Or would you run and leave me spurned? How does one prove a love so intense without the need for legal defense, when your intended shows only resistance despite your ever-loving persistence? I watch you daily with admiration. My love for you is my fixation. You say I have a mental disorder and slapped me with a restraining order. But that won't stop my deadly devotion. For your love I'd swim any ocean. Yet to you I'm some psychotic stranger who brings only fear and danger. I long to feel your soft embrace and pledge my love face to face. But for that moment I'll have to wait and hope that you will take the bait. A simple disguise is all I require. Then you'll be the object of my desire. You'll see how exquisite my love can be and beg for love to set you free. For there can be no other outcome here. My love, let me make this clear. If I can't have you, no one can. I'm your possessive, obsessive, #1 fan.
Wow. Do you snap for that, or do you clap? Wow. Like, that's really great.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, and I'm not just gassing you. I love it. And thanks for doing that on the show.
No worries.
So when you're on, I'm sorry, I'm checking my timing. Oh man, we have a long way to go, which is great. I was worried. Okay, good. So I'm having such a good time. I thought time had gone by. When you're at these conventions and you're signing things like your book, and I'm assuming you sign your book at the conventions, and I'm assuming you do that kind of stuff, right? One of the things that really I read was reading something you wrote, and it said that when people come up to you and go, they look at your photos, and they look at your photos of you in movies, and look at your photos of you as characters, and they look at your photo of you in some outfit, and they go, "Is that you?" Like, they don't believe it's you. and you even like, I guess like even there's somewhat like well, who else the heck would it be? Well, I wouldn't be sitting here, but you know, I started to think about that. Like I walked up on famous people and I didn't recognize them because either they were so much aged or they were wearing a COVID mask or whatever, you know. I had only seen them, you know, I didn't remember what they really looked like by the time I got in person. So, but what is the deal with that? Like, how does that work when somebody comes up and says that to you? Like, I was interested in
my
that.
lip and the smile. It gets kind of frustrating actually, because when I do photo shoots, which isn't very often because I'm not a model, you know, but every woman likes to take nice photos, you know, and I like to play with Photoshop and do interesting things with my photos, but I don't wear a ton of makeup, and I never Photoshop photos to an extent to change what I look like, to smooth out appearances, make me slimmer or whatever, or make my boobs bigger. Anything you can do in Photoshop, you can do it all now. But you know, I don't subscribe to that personally. I want to look like what I look like, flaws and all. And sometimes, excuse me, sorry about that. Sometimes it'll take me a while after a shoot to look at the photos and get comfortable with them. And I think I've upset a photographer in the past by, like, my instant reaction was like, oh, do I really look like that? I hate them. And then it's like a few days later, I settle down, I look over them again and go, okay, I can work with that. Yeah, that's not bad. Well, it's just me. So it's like, yeah, it takes me a while to get used to photos of myself. As I said, I'm not a model, and I've always had a problem with self-confidence and body image disorder. So it takes me a little while longer than maybe some other people to get used to that. And selling photos was never a thing. I never wanted to sell photos. But then when I I did a calendar a couple of years ago and made some photos look kind of interesting with backdrops and stuff. And the calendar did quite well. So I've printed out some of those photos and decided that, you know, if I can make a photo look interesting and maybe a little artistic, then maybe people might be interested in those. Unfortunately, it always seems to be the cleavage shot with guys and maybe some girls that do the best. And I don't really know how I feel about that, to be honest, but it is what it is, I guess.
Right. So if you have a trouble with body image, right? Because I do the same thing. Okay. Because I think, okay, you know what, I'm not really sexy, or I'm not whatever. But if people are buying it, and if people are paying, then doesn't that prove the opposite? Like, I mean, you know, like wouldn't the market sort of, if the market dictates the cleavage shot is what sells, then doesn't that mean that's good? Like, I mean, I guess, I mean, I'm not saying that's the best way. I mean, I don't know how to, I mean, I guess for body image, doesn't that mean that, I guess that would make me feel better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is there?
Yes and no, because sometimes it gets frustrating in the way that I don't want to be known or sold on my looks, which to me isn't a thing anyway. I want to be known for my work. I want my work to stand out, not, you know, what I look like. So
Right. And I feel the same way. I keep saying, you know, people go, oh my God, you're the model. And I go, yeah, but I want to be known for my talent. I want to win an acting thing. So when, you know, I feel you this, okay, I totally understand that. I guess the question was what I was asking, and you answered it, but I guess the question I was asking was, is there any validation that comes from the fact that that's like a hot seller? Like, you know, I was in a calendar and it was really great and all these things. And that, you know, there was some validation in that. Like, it's hard to say you're not attractive when you're a calendar model. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to, who's going to buy that? Like, I mean, I don't mean buy the calendar, but I mean, who's going to believe you? You know, but I don't believe it in myself. So when you're an actor too, you do a lot of, you've been in a lot of movies. You were in 3 Slices of Life, which I think is where I first heard of you. It was in that movie.
Oh, that's many years ago. Hang on a second. This looks really dark. Does that help at all?
It's either way is great. Yeah, it does brighten you a little bit. Sure. Yeah.
It's on my little screen here. It's just like, wow, yours is nicely lit and stuff, and I'm just like muddy and dark and whatever. But
Mine is my audition studio as well. It's where I do all my self tapes. It's where I do all of that stuff. So it makes sense. Most of my guests have a light situation similar to yours. Only the directors are worse. The directors cannot line a camera up. Every director's shot is like that one from underneath, and the lighting. Oh, I get half interviews like this. Hey, so anyway, yeah, I'm on your show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the directors have no idea what they're doing. But the actors at least have some. Your frame is fine. But I just like how you waited for halfway through the interview to decide to change your lighting. So okay, so let's talk about some movies you're in. I definitely want to talk about movies you're in. Let me back up a minute. I want to talk about, you got hired to work with a Gothic illusionist. That was your first role?
yeah, Ron Fitzgerald. I actually met him at I was a booth babe, if you like, for a Gothic clothing company at a Halloween trade show in Chicago. Christ, I don't even know how many years ago now. It's got to be knocking on 13, if not more. Just got chatting as you do, and then I joined his show after that as one of his assistants. So I worked with him for 5 years on his stage show. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. We got to do a lot of events. Then helped him out at his table at events, and it was obviously all horror themed events. So then you get to network and get to know filmmakers and stuff. So I got in a couple of indie movies and decided to make my own. I was having a hard time being cast or knowing how to get roles. So I thought, well, I'm a writer. I'll just write my own. So started writing scripts, did my first film it was released in 2011 called Conscience, a short film that Ron's in that as well.
So backing up 1 second before we talk about the movies that you're in, what is a Gothic illusionist? Is that like Chris Angel? Like what can you compare it to? How would we know? I mean, what is a Gothic illusionist? He's like, hey, instead of a bird, it's a bat, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Hey, watch this dead girl appear. Like, how does it work?
Yeah, anything to spook up the magic. So it'd be some of the staple tricks like that, a head mover or a casket where the body's disappeared and knives and blades pushed through it and stuff. So it's some of your standard illusion tricks, but with more of a Gothic theme, as in the presentation and the wardrobe. And
Sure. And is it portraying it as then like an illusion, or is it portraying it as spirits? How does that work?
as an illusion.
Oh, as an illusion. Okay, not like the Ouija board is making things happen.
No.
Do Ouija boards make things happen?
Actually, I've never tried it. I've had family members who have and have been freaked out, and before I came along, and warned me not to do it. And I've always been interested in that kind of thing, but I wasn't allowed to touch it. And even kids go off and do their own thing, none of my friends would either. So yeah, to this day, I still have never tried it.
So in Britain, it was like a thing. Like, okay, it was. I mean, here it is. People are like some people are afraid of it, some people aren't. But in Britain, you were taught that it was not to be touched.
Yeah.
And are ghosts real then? Do you believe in ghosts?
Oh yeah, I definitely believe in the supernatural. There's something to it. There's something there. I mean, I haven't had a lot of personal experience, so I am err on the skeptical side, but I want to believe. So I'm somewhere in the middle. And I did science at school and stuff. That was my major, as Americans would say. So so yeah, I would like to experience more to get a better understanding and some evidence, but I do believe it.
So I love the way you say experience more. Like, you would love to have a ghost come to your house and be like, hey, and maybe move one of those weird plates around.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
But you do know that's not real, right?
Poltergeists are real, sure.
Poltergeists are real, and in Britain, do they call them ghosts? They call them poltergeists.
a poltergeist and a ghost are two separate entities. So.
Okay, we're gonna the technicality of it. What's the difference? A poltergeist is an angered spirit.
A poltergeist, you don't usually see an apparition. A poltergeist is usually something that moves stuff around, but people generally think of a ghost as an apparition, something that you would physically see, as in the form of a shape or something that doesn't necessarily move stuff, I guess.
Okay, so more like Ben Kenobi versus like moving a chair across the road. Like Ben Kenobi, he appears, he's clearly a ghost, right? He's like, hey, yo, Luke, don't do that. And then, but he doesn't move any chairs or any logs or, anything like that. So that's sort of the difference then?
In my understanding, yeah. I know a lot of paranormal people will probably say, no, you're full of shit, but...
But we don't care about those people because ghosts aren't real. So, let's go back to your movie. So you had Conscience. You made Conscience, and you had you put your Gothic illusionist Ron. I think you said his name was. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. You put Ron in the movie, and does he do any illusions in the film, or does he just get croaked?
No, he's also an actor as well. So yeah, he's just purely acting in that. There's no illusions in that film.
So our director of the film Coffee Breaks tells me that poltergeist is the German word for knocking ghost. So it's more like, who is it? And then he's like, yo, it's me. Like, I guess that's more of how he is. So he's like, or you could be like, who's there? And he could be like, boo. And then you're like, boo hoo. And then he's like, don't cry. Like maybe in poltergeists are those joke tellers. So, and see, there's a ghost joke for you. I bet you didn't expect that. So okay. So
it's definitely a German word because Geist is the German for ghost. I'm not sure what polter means, but knocking, I guess.
Right. Polter could be the word for knocking. So maybe it's ghost to doorbell ditch. You go out there and you're like, nobody's here, and they're like, cause we're ghosts. You can't even see us. Ha ha. Like maybe that's a thing that ghosts are tormented to do in the afterlife. Like, okay, you died, now you have to doorbell ditch living people. Like that would suck. So, that would be a kind of a hellish game. I mean, after like 3 doorbell ditches, that would get pretty tired. I would imagine. All that running. Oh, that's it. So
but they don't have legs; they just glide. So.
Oh, they just float. Oh, okay. That makes it so much better. I was actually thinking about the old guy in Poltergeist, right? Like in Poltergeist 2, the old guy shows up and he's like, "Let me in the house." So he does knock on the door. He literally does. And then he tells him, "Yo, that dude in your house, the Native American guy you have, living in your house, he's bad for you." So, but he's lying. He's obviously the ghost. And so I imagine that old guy running away as a doorbell ditch. That would be pretty, I got you, haha. Like, that would be pretty dang horrible. I mean, that would be a pretty dang bad punishment for having to be anyway.
I would just imagine his hat flying down the street because it's windy and then just like, he's chasing his hat.
So, his hat blows off. So let's go back to your films that you're in. Enough of these silly jokes. Of course, that's what we're here for, is silly jokes all day. So you made the movie that you were in, Conscience, and then you also made you have a Bits. What is it, Bits and Blood, or what is your production company?
Oh, Bloody Brit Productions.
Bloody Brit Productions. Okay, because you're the Bloody Brit, right? Which is a pun, in because British people say bloody all the time, and I was watching Lost, and I'm assuming everyone talks like Charlie. The character on Lost, he's like sodden this and that, which I probably just cursed on TV. I don't even know. Did I just curse on live TV? Is that a curse word, sodden?
Yeah.
It is. Is it okay? But they say it here on American TV, and that's okay, probably, right?
Because Americans aren't really familiar with it so much. It's a British curse word, but it's not as bad as the F word. So it's kind of a tame curse word, I guess.
So they get away with it because Americans are dumb. That's what you meant. So Let's talk about some non-Americans. I saw that you had sung some AC/DC.
Yeah.
And you've been in a rock band.
Mm.
Have you ever been ripped off and underpaid?
All the time.
I've never seen anybody get beat up and broken bones.
No.
You haven't seen any of that. Okay. Would you
Maybe
agree?
if things get boisterous, but there was no mosh pits at my gigs because we weren't like heavy metal. So
So you guys did not play like the Sex Pistols, and of course I'm naming
no.
British bands, and I could name British bands. So when you were growing up in the British invasion, in the 70s, America was huge, with the British invasion and, the late 60s and all that stuff. And was that something growing up in Britain that was, as a rocker, that you looked at as cool? Like, were you like, yo, Zeppelin is where it's at? Or were you like, man, screw them dudes, they shouldn't have left?
Well, I was kind of a late bloomer, really. I used to listen to my parents' records, which were like mainly 60s rock and roll. So Elvis and Mum loved Gene Pitney, even though he was definitely not rock and roll. So I'd listen to all their 45s, all the 50s, 60s rock and roll classics, the Big Bopper and all stuff like that. And then I got hand-me-down vinyl albums that were compilations of a mixture of all kinds of stuff, which was really interesting and opened you up to a lot of different genres. Like there was disco, there was punk, there was funk, there was rock and roll, and I've discovered Alice Cooper on that from his really early stuff, and the Who was on it, and then the Top of the Pops compilation albums from the 70s, and that was more disco. I dug all that stuff. It was awesome. And then in my teens, my brother had his music on so loud I didn't have to buy that stuff because I could hear it when he was playing it, and he would play Queen a lot, but then he also had like some of the pop of the day, like Erasure. So I was exposed to a lot of different types of music. And then I kind of found my footing, if you like, in my late teens when I got more into current for me was like 80s rock and roll and the classic glam rock from America, which I loved. Wasp was one of my favorite bands, Guns N' Roses, and it kind of snowballed from there, going back to find, I like this style. What's out there? What have I not heard? Then you go back to Zeppelin and AC/DC, and it's only like now that I appreciate the 80s music, because in the 80s I wasn't listening to that. I'd listen to the like top 40 on the radio and be like, going back to my collection. But now I have an appreciation of the music at the time when I was growing up that I didn't listen to.
Right. So when you get to the 90s and find out about Nirvana, you're going to be mind blown. Like, wait till you hear about Nirvana and Pearl Jam. Like, wait when you find out about the 90s in the UK. How far behind is the UK? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's not that the UK is behind. It's just that I was behind. But,
Right. No, and I understand. I grew up listening to my parents' records. My dad had a Rick James album, and I grew up on that. And those are things I remember as a kid. But what is your favorite then? What is your favorite AC/DC song? Is it Highway to Hell? Is that the one that you sang? What's your favorite AC/DC song?
I don't know. I don't really have a favorite. I'm kind of partial to Bon Scott's Big Balls because I love the humor. So.
A lot of people like that song, or to me, I always thought that song was, even for me, I always thought as a kid growing up, I always thought, oh my God, that song's so vulgar, like to me as a kid, it just, it was not something I was sort of like into. I was always like, the innuendos, and I didn't know the word innuendo as a kid, but I knew it was, so that's it. Do you ever perform that song?
No.
Oh, I imagine that would be a hoot if you performed that song.
But there's one like cheeky song I'd love to perform, and I wanted to use it for a musical comedy horror that I've been kind of working on bits and pieces for a while, and it's from a band called Dr. Hook. Dr. Hook, my dad was big on them, and I had all his albums, and they're a very eclectic band, and yeah, they're cool. I love them, and the one song is "Freaking at the Freakers Ball." It's very non-PC, especially these days, but it's great.
Freaking at the Freakers Ball. We had a
Yeah.
similar band growing up here called Two Live Crew. And they were a rap group who sort of made their name off of being overly sexual. And they had a lot of songs that were like that sounding. Let's talk about a movie you were in called Hobo with a Trash Can. Obviously, not a shotgun.
No.
How did that name come up, and why is it not a shotgun?
Okay, so yeah, obviously I was familiar with Hobo with a Shotgun. Rutger Hauer's awesome.
Best movie ever.
Why did I come up with that name? I guess I was kind of flirting with the popularity and marketability of that movie, sure. But it just fits the movie, and it's kind of down and grindhouse, dirty, old school B movie, and it fits. And I don't really care that people say, oh, what about, is it anything to do with that movie? No, but I'm glad it kind of got you to this place, to my movie.
Right. Like, at least you didn't call it Hobo-nado and put a bunch of like homeless guys in a tornado this time. You know how many guests I've interviewed that have been in a movie called Nado? Either a clown-nado or a shark, some kind of tornado. So thank God it wasn't Hobo-nado. So, okay, so Hobo with a Trash Can. Go on. So what is it about?
So I wanted to, as I'd only ever done like short movies, and I struggle with writing anything in the long form, even though some of my longest poems like 11 pages long, but writing a long feature-length script is a mammoth task for me because I'm such a slow, meticulous writer. I've only ever done like short movies, even though my 2 shorts at the time were like half an hour long, which is a good size for a short. So I wanted to get more exposure for short movies, and we obviously know a lot of other indie, no-budget filmmakers, and thought, well, if we put together a feature movie which is easier to distribute with short movies, that might be something that's more attainable for people. So I came up with this idea of Hobo with a Trash Can, and I gave every director a $1 budget and an item of trash, and said, build your story around this item of trash, and then I will insert it. I wrote the wraparound to incorporate each item, and so it flowed like an actual full movie and not just segment, which a lot of anthologies are. No problem with that. I enjoy some of those anthologies, but it's not what I wanted to do. So it flows nicely. I directed the wrap. My partner Christopher Kaler directed the first segment, which also 2 characters tie in with the flow of the full movie, called Frying Saucer, and I wrote that. And Chris plays the hobo. So when he goes and picks up certain items and interacts with them, it segues. He has a flashback, and it segues into the story behind that item.
And where can people see that? That's amazing. Where can people see that at?
It might still be on Amazon, but it's just been picked up for worldwide distribution by Trionic/Cheesy Flicks. Great title. It says it is what it says, yeah. And so it won't be till next year that it gets its wide release through them.
Of course, you know what? Distribution takes a long time. We make a movie, and 2 years later, the thing comes out, right?
Right.
So were you inspired by Street Trash at all? I mean, that great movie where homeless people die. I'm not saying it's great that they die, but it's a fantastic film, and homeless people die from drinking this awful liquor the guy finds in his basement. Were you inspired by that at all? Because what an amazing movie.
No, not at all.
Not at all. You don't care about homeless people dying in a horrible death. That's not what this movie's about. We're not going there.
No homeless people die. The hobo does get pissed on a couple of times and whacked with a frying pan, and that was kind of fun. And the one was not intentional. We had a friend's pet rat crawling on Chris's chest. He's like, "You just peed on me."
Yeah, that's shout out to my wife for getting peed on by a rat. It happens to my wife all the time. While she was wearing my shirt, where our pet rat, stupid rat, peed on her. Anyway, let's go. I got a few more. My wife just laughed. We're running out of time. I want to touch on a few more things. I want to talk about Leaf Blower Massacre and Lawn Zombies. You're in both of those movies.
Yeah. Lawn Zombies was like for a 24-hour film race. It was with Chris and his friend Lloyd Miller, whose camera we used for our first few movies. So it's just like the competition where you get given an item or a line or something, and you've got 24 hours to.
I've been in those. I've been in a couple of those.
No, that's okay. And then Leaf Blower Massacre is not something I really want to talk about.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I guess my real question is then, Leaf Blower Massacre, Lawn Zombies, are you afraid to go outside in movies?
No. Why would I?
There's a guy in the lawn. There's a leaf blower. I mean, what if there's a guy out there trimming hedges? Holy moly, you might be in real trouble.
I don't usually get killed. I usually play the bad guy. So, have I been killed? Oh, I was killed in the. I was a nun on the Exorcist TV series, and I got killed in that. But usually in the Independents, I don't think I've actually been killed yet. I'm usually an asshole. So. Really?
So you survived. That's amazing. I always get killed, but you got killed on the television show The Exorcist. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So tell everybody before I gotta let you go. We're running out of time, but tell everybody, where can they find you if they want to have you not die in their film or die in their film, or they want to buy your book. Tell us where can the people find you?
So I am Brit Fluff with only one T on Instagram. I'm all over Facebook. Every project has a page. I've got Bloody Brit Productions on Facebook, Claire Fluff Llewelyn, author, and my personal profile, Claire Fluff Llewelyn. I have my YouTube channel where you can find lots of my poetry videos, trailers for movies, my acting reel, and just Google my name and it'll show up. I'm open to any movie. I don't do nudity, but I'm open to being killed or not being killed, or I'll audition for anyone, anywhere, at any time. So you're an actor, you know these things, yeah.
There it is.
Some roles, but I can't do an American accent, unfortunately, which has kind of been my stumbling block and a barrier to getting more work in this country, unfortunately. So
maybe that's why you're cast as the bad guy in America, because of your British accent.
Right.
So Claire, tell us what do you have coming up? What are you excited about?
So I'm always working on new written projects. As I said, it takes me a long time, but planning other poetry collections, maybe some short stories. I don't think I'll ever get round to a novel. I've been working on one for 12 years and haven't got past the first chapter. So, and working on another script too. So I'm going to do another anthology to throw in Conscience and Director's Cut, my other short, into another anthology. Got an interesting wraparound to tie all that together. Hopefully next spring I'll be working on that to wrap that up. And yeah, more events hopefully next year, and whatever else I can wrap my head around.
Right, whatever else comes your way.
Right.
You've been wonderful. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you being on the show. To those watching, thank you guys. You heard it here. Check out Claire's stuff. Go find it. Google her name. Hobo with a Trash Can is a new movie. Love is a Killer, the book, and the other one is, tell me the other book one more time. Respect and
Rhyme and Reason.
Facets of Life. Rhyme and Reason, Facets of Life. There you go, folks. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys next week on Coffee Breaks Thursday with Jason Zalakis. Claire, thank you again so much.